What's up, Jordan? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Good. All right, tell me about your career.
As far as in the sports industry,
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, bro, I've been watching sports my whole life. Been playing basketball my whole life since I was like 6 years old. So basketball is my passion, but gambling is really my passion. I like to play poker and anything I could gamble on, man. I'm a true degenerate. So honestly, I just like started betting on sports, got pretty good at it, and everyone's been telling me like, dude, you should, create a podcast around it, get, share your information with people because you got a good insight that's different than everyone. So just finally, once the pandemic hit, dude, and I had all this time on my hands, obviously, I was like, man, let's get started. So here we are now. I'm with Taproom Sports Podcast Network. We have 5 podcasts right now. Just a ton of content a week, everything from APR is our football show. We have a college show that just focuses on college sports. And then we have the Taproom Sports Podcast, which focuses on sports and beer.
All right, yeah. I'm an aspiring sports radio host, and I've always been passionate about sports ever since I was a little kid. So I said, why not pursue a career in sports? All right, tell
Yeah,
me how
man.
you became a Bucks fan.
Oh man. So it's actually it's kind of an inside joke, to be honest with you. I've never really had a favorite team, dude. I've always had favorite players. So, when I was a kid, Michael Jordan was my favorite player. But once Michael Jordan retired, I didn't really have a favorite. I was never a Bulls fan technically. I grew up in the Bay Area, California, home of the Warriors, and I was a Michael Jordan fan. So when Michael Jordan retired, the Warriors sucked. They sucked my whole life until recently. And I didn't have a team. And I loved Ray Allen at UConn. So he got drafted by the Bucks. I said, hey man, I'm gonna ride that train, and then just kind of haven't fallen off.
All right, I'm a
What about you? What's
Lakers.
your team?
Yeah, I'm a Lakers fan.
All
I've
right.
really been a Lakers fan ever since I started watching Kobe. I just like his drive, and and I was never a LeBron fan until he joined the Lakers, and then I became a really big
Uh,
LeBron fan. So
all
that's
right.
how it
All right.
started for me.
Hell
And I
yeah.
mean, in Jackson, which is an hour from Memphis, and I never really was a Memphis Grizzlies fan because I don't know, I just didn't really like them growing up, and so I like the Lakers because of Kobe. All right, what are
Nice.
your thoughts on the Bucks season so far?
Bro, it's been a roller coaster of a season, to be honest. And I kind of expected it. Adding Drew Holiday and then losing Drew Holiday for 2 weeks with the COVID protocol. He missed like 7 games, and in that 7 games, the Bucks were 1-6. So I mean, that was like a huge, huge downfall. Um, Mike Budenholzer, he hasn't really shown any progression. And I think that was their next step forward. Like, he hasn't been able to adjust. He didn't adjust in that Toronto series in the Eastern Conference Finals in 2019. He wasn't able to adjust to what the Heat were doing. And to start this season, he started the same way as before. He starts Brook Lopez at the 5 with the drop coverage defense. And they've been, I mean, for most of the season, they've been either 28th, 29th, or 30th in opponent 3-point percentage. So, I mean, they're giving up, like, I swear to God, every night when I watch them, it's like, oh, the team they're playing just set a franchise record for threes made. So it's like, at some point you have to adjust, and he hasn't been able to do that. But I think with the addition of PJ Tucker, that gives him the ability to flexibility on defense to where he can have a lineup with Giannis, PJ Tucker, Chris Middleton, Dante DiVincenzo, and Drew Holiday, which gives you the ability to switch all 5 positions. And the problem with the drop coverage is it often leaves the corner 3 wide open, and that's the easiest 3-point shot to make. So it's an issue. Yeah, you protect the rim really well, but nowadays teams have 4, some of them have 5 knockdown 3-point shooters on the floor, and you just can't play that style against those teams.
Yeah, I don't know if you watch. Have you watched B-Ball Breakdown? Really made a good video about the Bucks defense against the three. Did you watch that?
I didn't, but
No, but you should
I'm
check it
guessing it's
out.
pretty similar to what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
yeah, they got to do a better job defending the 3 point line if they want to have any chance. But the way I look at the Bucks is they're not really going to be judged into the postseason. Like, it's nice what they're doing in the regular season, but we've seen this movie before. They're going to be judged on what they do in the postseason, and I think they have a shot I agree a little bit with what you're saying about Budenholzer, but I think part of it is Giannis. I think I'm not sure if he can be the best player on a championship team. He's a really good player,
Why?
but he's really really flawed, and it's not a knock against him. Like LeBron James, arguably the greatest player of all time, was a little bit flawed at the same age as Giannis, but then he got a jump shot, and once he got that, he was almost unstoppable. So, kind of leads me to my next question: do you think Giannis can be the best player on a championship team, and do you think he can be the closer on a championship team?
Well, I mean, it depends on how you define a closer. If your definition of a closer is a Kobe Bryant or a Michael Jordan, then I would say no, he's not going to be that kind of closer. But if he's the kind of guy that can have the ball in his hands to make the right decision, to really take the defense, and that's always been LeBron's strength, dude. LeBron always commands 2 to 3 defenders on him. So if he makes the right pass to an open shooter and that shooter misses, it's not his fault. Like, you shouldn't take a shot against 3 defenders. Like, that's just not good basketball, right? And I think Giannis has that same ability, because if you guard Giannis one on one, there's not a single team in this league. There's not a single player that can guard him one on one. Every team has to commit 2 to 3 defenders with that wall. And the issue with the Bucks has been offensively that once it comes playoff time, everybody around Giannis sucks. Like in the 2019 Eastern Conference Finals against the Raptors, everybody but George Hill and Giannis shot less than 20% from the field, not from 3 point, from the field. Mirotic, Brogdon, Bledsoe, everybody on that team, they couldn't hit a shot. And that's an it. Like, if you take away, 3 players on any team, it's tough to stop. So I think Giannis can be that guy. Will he be the guy to make, you know, a shot over 2 people? I mean, the odds are stacked against him already. Maybe not, but I do think that he's a player that can totally make a defense alter on the final shot, and therefore would set up his team for a good shot.
Yeah, right now, if the Bucks had to win a game and you had to put the ball in someone's hands, you'd either give it to Drew Holiday or Chris Middleton, because those
With like a
guys,
second left, yeah.
yeah,
But if you're talking down to the wire, crunch
yeah.
time, I'll certainly give it to Giannis.
But the thing with Giannis, I think he kind of knows that. He knows that he has some limitation. And part of the issue in the playoffs is when they build that wall, it's not part of it, it's on the coach, and part of it, it's on him. It's like, all right, what do we got to do differently? Because it's not working. And I think it's going to be really, really interesting to see what they do in the playoffs this time around. Because the one thing I'll say is looking at the teams they would have to go through, Philly and Brooklyn seem to be the teams that are best built to beat the Bucks because
Oh,
they can.
certainly.
Brooklyn can really really score, and Philly is really really good defensively. Uh, what do you think about the Bucks' moves so far this season, and do you think they should do anything at the trade deadline?
Well, I think they need a backup point guard at this point, because they had to trade DJ Augustine for salary cap purposes just to get PJ Tucker. So I think having another point guard, for the second unit, they need to get someone, whether it's on the buyout market or some little trade. I mean, obviously they're not going to bring in anything worth of value because they have nothing valuable to trade back. So, but that's something that they're going to need to address, I think, the rest of the way. Because I mean, as it stands right now, I don't think there's a team in the East that could beat Brooklyn if they're fully healthy.
Yeah, Brooklyn. They just, in my opinion, they can just score like 140 so easily. They just can
Easily.
score. Their question is going to be defensively, but they have so many guys that can score. I think you can beat them because chemistry right now, I'm not so sure. And Steve
Agreed.
Nash, I'm not so sure about him as a coach. He does have really good staff, but he'll have to make some adjustments in series. And when a team just is preparing for you, it's a whole lot different than the regular season. All right, what are your
100%.
expectations for the playoffs for the Bucks? How far do you think they can go? If you had to decide right now, how far do you think they're going to get?
Well, I mean, if KD doesn't come back, I think finals bound is as far as they can go. I mean, you mentioned the Sixers and the Nets, which are not 2 teams that I would overlook. But without KD, I think that the Nets are going to struggle defensively big time in in the postseason. At least KD, he's a good defender. Like he can make up for a lot of their deficiencies as a 7-footer. Because when he was with the Warriors, he was averaging over 2 blocks a game at one point. So I mean, he's a guy that can. He's like a Swiss Army knife defensively, and I think he's honestly an underrated defensive player his whole career. But without KD, I mean, the sky's the limit. The East is wide open.
Yeah, I think the East, to a certain degree, is wide open, but I think it's the Bucks, the Nets, and the Sixers. Those are the teams to beat right now, barring any major trade or major injury. That's who I think would bet to come out of the East. All right,
Yep.
what do you think Coach Bud has to do to keep his job? Because a lot of people think he should be on the hot seat, and if they don't like advance maybe far enough, he should lose his job. I'm kind of on the fence on it because yeah, he hasn't maybe made a lot of adjustments, but what coach, if you fire him right now, can you say can do better with what he has? I can't think of anyone. Maybe Greg Popovich, but he's not coming. I don't know, but maybe they can find someone. But what do you think about that?
I think that if they don't get out of the second round, he's going to lose his job. And sometimes it's not about having a better coach. Sometimes it's just about having a different voice. And sometimes, like, if you play team sports, sometimes the voice just dies in the locker room, right? From the coach, you just get over him. You're just like, dude, we've heard the same shit over and over. Like, you just need some injection of energy, like something new. And that could be what the Bucks need. And trust me, these NBA coaches, they're all good, but talent wins at the end of the day in the NBA. And if you're a good coach with a lack of talent, you're going to lose. If you're a good coach with good talent, you're going to win. I mean, you could go to college and get a guy like throw the bag at Jay Wright. I think Jay Wright's the best coach in the country right now, NBA or college, when we're talking X's and O's. I don't think he would come, but there's
I was
that
gonna say that
potential.
if he's not taking the Sixers
There's that
job, he's definitely
possibility.
not taking the Bucks job. And
I
I
don't
just
think he
feel
would
like
ever take an NBA job.
yeah, I just feel like he's better for college. Some
Yeah,
coaches are just better for college.
I agree. But I do think he would succeed in at the NBA level. But I think Budenholzer, his job is on the line because at the end of the day, NBA is a win now league, and if you're not winning, they're gonna move on to the next thing and try to do something different. And I think honestly, Darvin Ham, his one of his head assistants, could be someone that could take the job.
Yeah, I was thinking about him. Maybe he could like maybe a Ty Lue situation with David Blatt.
Yeah.
He's been under his tree, but maybe he could add new wrinkles and then hire a really good assistant coach or a better staff to help him out. Uh, I'm not sure about Budenholzer getting fired because the reason why I think it's a dangerous move is let's say Giannis gets a jump shot next offseason because this offseason it was really hard for anybody to vastly improve because it was just so short. Let's say he gets a jump shot next season and then they win it with a different coach. Do you think it's because of a different coach or Giannis got a jump shot?
Well, definitely Giannis got. I mean, look at what happened when Kerr went to the Warriors. Like that was the only move they really made that offseason was implementing Kerr, and the team flourished, dude. You know what I'm saying? And same thing from before Budenholzer. Like Budenholzer came after Jason Kidd, and you could tell Jason Kidd he like could not adapt his offense to modern basketball. Like he refused to do it. And Budenholzer comes in the next year, and they win 60 plus games with the same roster, basically minus Jabari Parker. So I do think sometimes a coach like just an injection of something else can like push a team over the edge.
What are the surprises in the NBA? What have they been so far? I'll give you mine real quick. The
All
Boston
right.
Celtics have been a disappointment. Like, I'm really, really surprised how bad they've been playing. And maybe this is just who they really, really are. They kind of maybe overachieved. And so maybe some people think they should be doing better than they really are. But I'm really surprised at how bad they've been. And I think they have to make a move in the offseason. Definitely in the offseason, but I think they need to make a move at the trade deadline. Doesn't need to be like a superstar, but if they could get maybe two solid rotation players, that could really, really help them out. And then on the good side, I've been impressed by what I've seen by the Sixers. I think they've really, really improved. Daryl Morey and Doc Rivers have come in there, really, really changed the culture. And I think they may be one more piece away from potentially winning the championship because I think the Nets are just, they just can score too much. And I think the Sixers, imagine if they added a guy like Kyle Lowry, that'd be pretty nice to that bunch. And then maybe they would add a few via the buyout market. What are your surprises so far in the NBA?
My first surprise has been the Knicks. I mean, I thought they were going to be awful. I took their win under, their total under, and they've already surpassed it. We're not even 3/4 of the way to the year, so they've been a huge surprise for me. Julius Randle has been playing like an All Pro. I mean, just he's having an incredible season, man. Like he should be talked about in the MVP conversation, but he's not. And then on the flip side, my biggest surprise, who I would probably say, I'd probably say the Mavericks, but injuries have had a lot to do with the Mavericks. And they're starting to play way better of late with having all their players available because they went through it early on in the season with the COVID protocols. Like at one point they had like 7 dudes available, and it's just like it's been a it's been terrible for them. And then I mean, obviously the injuries are a huge talking point this season, but I think we all kind of thought a lot of this could have happened with the quick turnaround too. But I mean, for the most part, I would say honestly, my biggest surprise, good and bad, has been the Knicks.
Yeah, the Knicks have been what Tom Thibodeau has done. I feel like he's one of maybe the most underappreciated coaches. Like Minnesota, even though they fired him, you can maybe say he deserved to be fired. They haven't made the playoffs since, and they're one of the worst teams in the NBA. So he
Yep.
finds a way to get the best out of what he has. And I think, I'm not saying they'll win a title under his tenure, but I think they have a chance to be relevant. They'll be in the conversation if they can get, they're going to have to get a star, superstar, because they just don't have that. But they
Yep.
have a good collection of just tough guys that play the right way. And I think give James Dolan finally did something right with the Knicks.
I mean, Emmanuel quickly, bro, the kid, he's having a really good season. He didn't play this good at Kentucky, which is like shocking as well. That's been a huge. He's been impressive, and he's only a rookie, and he could potentially be a star. Who knows in a couple of years? But yeah, I think it. What if Kawhi were to opt out this year, and then they sign Kawhi Leonard in the offseason?
That would be nice. I just don't see Kawhi leaving the Clippers unless if like he really, really wants to leave. Like something bad has to happen, in my opinion, where the
Yeah.
relation, like San Antonio, for example. I don't think he ever really wanted to leave, but the relationship got so bad that he just said, I needed to get out of there. All right.
Agreed.
If you had to pick who you expect to make the finals today, who would you pick?
Woo! I would take so we're talking today, like right now. So that means KD is not playing, LeBron's not coming back, AD's not coming back. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah,
All right, so I would take Utah versus the Bucks
interesting. I think that would
or
be one hell of a
Phoenix
series. Yeah,
or
Phoenix
Phoenix.
has a chance too. Right now, if I had to pick right now, I'm a Lakers fan, so this is tough for me. But I would probably pick. I'd go with the Clippers because I just feel like they have more upside than the Jazz. I think the Jazz, this is the best they can play, unless if they can add another piece via trade or the buyout market. But I don't think they can play any better than that. But I believe the Clippers can. They really had a nice comeback win against the Hawks. It's
I was
pretty
gonna say
impressive.
if they get that Luke Kennard for the rest of the year that played like he did last night against the Hawks, that's a scary team.
I don't think that will happen, but I think they're pretty deep. You can make a case they're the deepest team in the NBA. And then on the East, I would go with the Nets. I just feel like they can outscore anybody. Their biggest issue is defensively and chemistry, but they just can score so easily that I just don't see a team right now being able to outscore them. I think that's what it's going to come down to. They're just going to be
The
able to
Bucks are
outscore
number
everybody.
one offense in the league, though.
Yeah, it's just amazing. And then the Rockets, I mean, looking at that, you can
Oh
have them
shit!
to the biggest disappointment. They should have made that trade before the season. One, they would have gotten more. And two, poor Steven Silas, man. I felt sorry for
Yeah,
him. I was saying
yeah.
on Twitter, they need to give him a 1-year extension so he can start all over next year. What he's had to deal with has just been unfortunate.
For a first year coach too.
Yeah. Where would you like to see Victor Oladipo traded if he ends up getting traded?
Not to an Eastern Conference team.
Yeah, I would either like to see him with the Heat or with the Nuggets. I think he could take them to another level. That's how much
The
I.
Nuggets would be a really good fit. Him and Jamal Murray
Yeah.
and Jokic. That's a good fit.
Nuggets. You can make a case the Nuggets are one more piece from really, really making a run.
Yeah.
For the NBA team.
And losing Jeremy Grant was huge too.
Yeah. Jeremy Grant and Torrey Craig. I think they could have lost one of them, but because they lost both of them, they're going to need to find another wing defender at some point. Because I just feel like that's one of their biggest weaknesses now. Who's your MVP right now if you had to pick?
Giannis. This is an unbiased pick too. I mean, Giannis has, since the end of January, he's been playing the best basketball of his entire career. He's basically averaging a triple-double. He's averaging a triple-double over the last 2 weeks, and we're not talking a normal triple-double. We're talking like 25, 15, and 10 triple-double. What he's been doing this season is incredible. He's become a much better playmaker. And that's really what's turned around the Bucks season. Like ever since he started playing good, like great, better than he was last year, that's when the Bucks turned their season around.
I think he's been all right. I mean, I wouldn't mind that. Kind of like to see someone else win it, but if he's the best, then give it to him. I think Jokic has a case. I think Chris Paul or Devin Booker has a case. Joel Embiid definitely has a case. Give me, if I had to give it to someone, I'd probably give it to Embiid. That's how well he's played this season. There are a lot of really good players in the NBA. Maybe it's going to be interesting to see how the Lakers do without LeBron, because some people say when you're missing games, it hurts you. I think it helps you because now we're seeing how valuable you are when you're not there. Now, obviously, someone could say then Anthony Davis isn't there, but when Anthony Davis wasn't there, LeBron was there. They had a winning record, and so that just helps LeBron even more. Who's your coach of the year right now?
My coach of the year, I've got to go Quinn Snyder. I mean, he's got the Jazz playing better than anybody would have expected. He's a great head coach. Got to take Quinn Snyder.
Yeah, I think that'll be fair to give it to Quinn Snyder. I'll give it to Monty Williams. I thought the Suns would be good. I didn't think they'd be this good. I knew the Jazz would be a playoff team. I thought the Suns would maybe be in the lower part of the Western Conference, but I'm stunned how well they've done. And I think maybe another piece or two, they could potentially win it. The NBA is really wide open this year. I'm glad after the Warriors broke up, it's become pretty wide open the past 2 years.
Yep.